excited about recording episode 9 of A Summer of Many Seasons and catching up on that exciting place that I stopped where I arrived at Iris Ministry Base and no one knew that I was coming. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start up from there and share a little bit of what happened next. So I arrived there, and as soon as I got out of the car, got all my bags out, paid the guy, and he left. And I was looking around for Jesse, actually, because he had said that he was going to be meeting me at the front of the gate kind of thing. And then I see these people, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, are you a new student? Did you just arrive?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just arrived." And then it just so happens to be right when I'm about looking around where to go, this guy comes down, and he's with the bus who just picked up a bunch of the students, and he said, "Hey, how may I help you?" And I'm like, "Hi," and I just bring him over to the side, and I introduce myself, and I just say, "I'm so sorry, I don't want to disrespect anybody or anything, but I applied for the school and I wasn't accepted for it, but God still told me to come, and I felt I was going to be disobedient if I didn't come." And I just told him some of the story, and he said, "Wow, I love your hunger, and I love how much you're pressing into God, but there is honor, and God is honor, and so we're just gonna come with me, we're just gonna go talk to some of the leaders." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I know, I'm so sorry, I never meant to dishonor anybody," because that was so not my heart. My heart was just to completely just obey God and just step out in that faith, because he told me to go, and that was all I knew. And so I just went, and I knew he was going to do something awesome. So we walk up to this area, and these girls are sitting there as he goes and gets some of the staff or something, and he goes to talk to some of the leaders, and these girls are like, "Did you just arrive for the school?" And I'm like, "Well, God told me to come. I'm not in the school, but I'm just here." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." Every single person I told, they were just encouraged in their faith, and it was so awesome. And then he comes out, and he brings one of the staff, and they say that they remembered talking to me online, and that they remembered telling me that I wasn't accepted, and what they were going to do is they were going to take me to a hotel down the road, and her and one of the leaders of the school was going to come and talk to me in a little while later that day and figure out what's going on, but that I would probably have to get a flight home. So at this point, I'm just walking around, and I'm just praying, and I'm just there, and I'm not letting myself get disappointed yet, because I know that God could still do something awesome. And so I'm just, filled with the Spirit, but also just kind of "Okay, God, what are you doing?" Looking around for Jesse, and can't see him, can't find him. It's a huge base, see kids, and I'm just wow, I'm here. I'm really here. So the girl, she takes me to a hotel just down the road, and we talk, and I tell her the whole, I tell her some of the story of how God just totally, I met Heidi, and God totally spoke through her and all this stuff, and she ended up not knowing anything about that, and it was okay, and it just taught me really, no matter how in love with Jesus you are, you can't put expectations on people, because we're not perfect. We forget things, we're busy, we have a ton of stuff going on, and we're not perfect. And so it was really just, I was in a really good heart place, because I just was knowing, I'm not supposed to put expectations on anyone, because that's really the only time that we get disappointed or we get hurt, is when we put expectations on other people, expecting them to do something that we would want them to do, and then if they don't, we get disappointed. So I really wasn't even disappointed about that. I just was knowing and trusting that God was going to make the way, because he called me there. And so she took me to the hotel, and I got checked in. I got a room for the night, and she said that they would be back in a couple hours. And so I get there, and I'm just "Oh my gosh, God, I'm here in Pemba, I'm at this hotel, what am I doing? What is going on?" And because everything's looking to be totally just out of control, I just don't even know. So I just literally just start praying in the Spirit. I fall to my face on my knees, and I just start praying in the Spirit. And I just am praying. I just don't want to even think. So I'm just praying in the Spirit, and I'm just seeking God's face and pressing into him and letting him just move and pray through me, and just powerful. And then I just think, if I'm not going to be staying, I'm going to get in the ocean. So I get my bathing suit on, I'm praying in the Spirit, going to the ocean, pray in the Spirit, bless the land, bless the atmosphere, just praying in the Spirit, get back, get dressed, take a shower, get dressed. And as soon as I lay down on my bed, as soon as I lay there, I'm just oh, what's going to happen? And then they knock on the door. And so two of the leaders, the staff and the leader of the school, just came, and we sat down and we started talking. And I think I'm going to stop there because this is just an awesome part to stop, to just get prepared for the next video where I tell you what we all talked about, what happened next, to me, because here I was, it's like crazy. I think back now and I'm just like, wow, I really just stepped out into that like foolish faith and just unwavering faith, and just God gave it to me, and I just stepped out in obedience and just trusted what he said. And even though it all just was looking crazy, I just continued to trust him. And so it's in those times where it's like, wow, you just have no idea what's going on, but God does, and God has a plan, and God has a greater plan than we could ever expect, because he loves us. I mean, he loves us so much. How much he loves us that he didn't even spare his only son, but gave himself up for us. How now in his life will he not give us all things? Like, it's just amazing. It's so amazing. So I just encourage you, whatever God has put on your heart, whatever God has spoken to you, just continue to press into him. Just continue to seek his face. Just continue to trust that he has an amazing plan. If you're going through a time that is hard right now, that is like, just, you're like, what is going on? What are you doing, God? Just trust him. Just seek his face and know that he loves you. He loves you so much. He has greater plans for us than we could ever even imagine. So I pray that this encourages you. Comment, share, just share how you feel about this, whatever God's speaking to you, and stay tuned for episode 10 coming up, because it's going to be epic the way that you hear how this story turned out, because it's so radical, and all glory to God. So just bless you so much.
Your love is like the sun.